Hello friends, today we are going to start with a new topic, preamble of the constitution. We have seen in many topic what is constitution. Constitution in simple terms is fundamental law of the land. It is a book which contains governing principles, fundamental laws, various rules and various regulations which helps us in governing this country in a democratic manner. So constitution in simple terms is nothing but fundamental law of the land. Then what is preamble of the constitution? So preamble is an introduction to the Indian constitution. Introduction. As I said just few minutes back, constitution is book containing all fundamental laws. So this preamble is an introduction to this book that we are going to study what introduction of this book says. As we know, every book has an introduction and this introduction is nothing but an essence of that book, ideals of that book, objectives of that book. So same thing we are going to study here. Here we will try to understand what preamble tries to say. Preamble tries to give us a holistic picture about our constitution in a very simplified and lucid manner that we will try to understand in very simple language from UPSC prelims point of view. So let us start with the topic preamble of the Indian constitution. Now what preamble says? I will just read out what preamble says. We'll start with what is given in the preamble. So here we can see preamble start with the word we. So it start with the word we, the people of India. So second important word is people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into that is we want to make India into a kind of nation. What is that kind of nation? Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Now this is our objectives that we want to make India this kind of India, and to secure to all its citizens. So what things should be given to the citizens? It is justice, then it is liberty, then it is equality, and it is fraternity. And it also talks about the date, that is on 26th of November 1949 we are going to adopt, we are going to enact, and we are going to give to ourselves this constitution. So basically when we read preamble, we come to know the four important components of the Indian preamble. What are those four important components of the preamble? So the four components of the preambles are: it talks about source of authority to the constitution. Who gave us this authority to frame constitution for India, so that this constitution shall be a legal document for this entire India, so that this constitution should be a governing guide to run this country in a democratic manner. So what is source of authority? Second, it talks about nature of Indian state. What kind of state we want to establish, what kind of India we want to have, what should be there. Third, it talks about objectives of the constitution. Objectives of the constitution means the objectives which ensures that there should be justice, liberty, equality and fraternity to every citizen of India. And last thing, it talks about fourth important point, that is date of adoption of the constitution. So when we read preamble, we come to know about four important things. First thing, it talks about source of authority. Second thing, it talks about the nature of Indian state that we wants to have. Third, it talks about objectives before the Indian constitution. Fourth, it talks about date of adoption of the Indian constitution. Now here we will try to understand every point one by one in a very simple, lucid manner. Here I am not going to have a deeper analysis of the thing. The objectives of these lectures are to give you a simplified revision of entire Indian polity in smallest possible time. These lectures do not aim at giving you detailed analysis from mains point of view. The main objective of this lecture is to give you a brief and a simple history, a simple story of the analysis of this entire Indian polity, that is the book Lakshmikant, in very few lectures. That is our purpose. So we have seen four important things about preamble which tries to give us. First, it talks about source of authority. it talks about nature of Indian state, it talks about objectives of the constitution. Fourth, it talks about date of adoption of the Indian constitution. Now we'll go for this one by one. Now, what is source of authority? That we'll try to understand first. Now see, source of authority, it can be seen from the case that, see, where here our constitution, where it starts, see, we the people of India. Nowhere it is mentioned the Queen of England. Nowhere it is mentioned the Indian National Congress. Nowhere it talks about Constituent Assembly. Preamble start with we the people of India. That is right or authority or power to write, draft this constitution is given to Constituent Assembly by people of India. It means the source of authority to frame the constitution is given by Indian people. So first important thing, we the people of India word itself reflect that our source of authority is people of India. That's why it is called as popular sovereignty. This is very important. It talks about popular sovereignty. That is, people are all powerful. That is, power to make Indian constitution is not given by any king, by any queen, by any assembly, by any congress. The power to make or to frame Indian constitution is given by Indian people, that we have seen. Before that, a small point I missed, that is certain basic points about the preamble that we'll just have in just a minute, that we have to remember. American Constitution is the first constitution in the world to begin with preamble. Preamble is nothing but an introduction to the Indian constitution. Third very important point, from where this preamble came. So preamble is nothing but a modified and advanced version of the objective resolution drafted, this is important, and moved by Pandit Nehru in Constituent Assembly. And fourth important point, this preamble has been amended once by 42nd Amendment Act 1976. This Amendment Act has added three important words. One is socialist, second is secular, third one is integrity. Remember this thing. Also remember one important thing. This 42nd Amendment Act is also called as mini constitution. This word is very important. This 42nd Amendment Act is also called as mini constitution. This you must remember. Now coming to the main point. This point we have seen what is source of authority, that is people are source of authority. Now what kind of state we wants to have, what is the nature of state that we wants to have, that we'll try to understand. So here it says what is nature of state. We wants to have a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic state. So this is the nature of state that our preamble envisions. Our preamble says that we should have a state which is sovereign, which is socialist, which is secular, which is democratic and which is republic. Now we'll try to understand the meaning of all these five words one by one in a very simple meaning. Let us have a brief idea. Now first we'll try to understand the word sovereign. What is meaning of sovereign? Before going into the word sovereign, I want to tell you a very simple theme of sovereign. Simplest theme of the word sovereign is no internal or external interference. I repeat once again, what is meaning of sovereign? No internal or external interference. India is not dependent on anyone. India is not dominion of any other nation. Now, before going into understanding of this word sovereign, I would just want to give you a historic understanding of this word sovereign. See, before 15th of August 1947, we were not independent. We were completely dependency on Britain. On 15th of August 1947, we got independence under an act which is Indian Independence Act 1947. This act was passed by British Parliament. Now this British Parliament gave us independence, and now after giving independence, that act of British Parliament has created two dominions. One was dominion of Pakistan, second was dominion of India. So Indian Independence Act of 1947 has created two separate dominion. One was of India, second was of Pakistan. Two dominions were created. It means on 15th of August 1947, India was not a sovereign nation. It was dominion of Britain. Now what is meaning of dominion? So just to have a comparison, before 15th of August 1947, when we were not independent, when we were dependency of Britain, at that time almost 100% subject of India were controlled by Britain. When we got dominion status, that is after 15th of August 1947, after that, when we got dominion status, in that dominion status, almost majority of the subject were transferred to India. That is, India can make laws on those subject. That is, India can execute those laws made on those subject. Just only thing was that certain subjects were still in the hands of British government, like foreign affairs, like finances, like defense. These subjects were still in the hands of British government. That is, we were still dominion of the British government. We were not sovereign. But when we adopted, we enacted, and we gave ourselves this constitution on 26th of November 1949, we became completely a sovereign nation. So before independence, then we got dominion status, and on 26th of November 1949 we became a sovereign nation. That is, we are not dependent on anyone, we are not dominion of anyone. There should not be any kind of internal or external interference in the affairs of India by any outside nation. That is very important thing. So we became a sovereign nation. Now, here one important thing which must be remembered is that India's membership of United Nations or Commonwealth of Nations do not affect its sovereignty. This is important point from prelims point of view, which you must remember. Next important very thing that you should remember: India can acquire a foreign territory, or India can give away its territory to any other foreign nation, being a sovereign state. India has a right to acquire foreign territory. India has a right to give away its own territory to any other foreign nation through a constitutional amendment act. Why? Because India is a sovereign nation. No one can interfere the working of India. No one can in any way interfere in the functioning of the India. So this is first word, that is, India is a sovereign nation. Now, India is a socialist nation. What it means? Let us have a basic idea. Now, remember one very important thing, the word socialist. Before going further into the discussion, I just want to clear the meaning of the word socialist. The simplest meaning of word socialist is that when means of production are owned by society, when means of production like land, then water, then minerals, then forest, then companies, then all big industries, when all these means of productions are owned by society, then it is called as a socialist concept. So when means of productions are owned by society, it is socialist, or in another word, ownership is in the hands of the society, is a socialist concept. The word socialist has been added into the Indian Constitution by 42nd Amendment Act. As I told you, this 42nd Amendment Act is called as mini constitution. Second important bit which should be remembered, DPSP has socialistic content of Indian Constitution. We are going to study the topic DPSP in detail in later chapters, but here try to remember one important thing. DPSP has main objective to establish a socio-economic democracy. That you must remember. DPSP aims at establishing a socio-economic democracy. Another important bit which you must remember from prelims point of view is that in 1955's Audi session of Indian National Congress, it had an objective to establish a socialistic pattern of society. Audi session of Indian National Congress, it aimed at establishing a socialistic pattern of society. This you must remember. It is very important point from prelims point of view. Now, various kinds of socialisms are there. We are not going into the type or details of the socialism. Our main purpose here is to have a brief idea, to have a brief understanding of the socialism. Various kinds of socialism is there. Here we will try to understand two simple types of the socialism. One is democratic socialism, which is there in India. Second is state socialism, which we can say which was there in USSR, that is Union of Socialist Soviet Republic, or in simple term which was there in Soviet Russia. Now, what is democratic socialism? A democratic socialism is more inclined towards Gandhian socialism. Now, what is Gandhian socialism? To understand this, let us have a brief revision of again socialism. Just few minutes back we have seen what is socialism. When means of productions are in the hands of society, it is socialism. Right. Now what Gandhian socialism says? Gandhian socialism here state, that is the government apparatus, it act as a facilitator to give this means of production to the people. State do not own any property in literal sense. State act as a facilitator to give this means of productions to the people is a democratic socialism, is a Gandhian socialism, which we can find in mixed economy like India, where state act as a facilitator. Second type of socialism is a state socialism, which is also called as communistic socialism or Marxian socialism. In case of communistic socialism, state is the owner of entire means of production on behalf of people. Now see the basic difference. In case of democratic socialism, state act as a facilitator to provide these means of productions to the people. Whereas in state socialism, state itself act as a owner of all means of production. It do not make any attempt to give these means of production to the people. So these are the basic differences between democratic socialism and state socialism. Here one thing which must be remembered from prelims point of view is that Indian socialism is a mix of Marxian socialism and Gandhian socialism, which is leaning heavily towards Gandhism. So remember, Indian socialism is a kind of democratic socialism which can be reflected through mixed economy of India. Now, the socialistic principles of Indian constitution can be understood from various point of view. Just few minutes back, we have seen the DPSPs of the Indian constitution have socialistic content. Why? Because DPSP aims at establishing a socio-economic democracy. Now, in that DPSP, that is Directive Principles of State Policy, one very important article is there, that is Article 39. Now, in this Article 39, two important sub-clauses are there. One is Article 39B, second is Article 39C. Now, what Article 39B says? I am not going word by word definition. Here I have written just the theme of Article 39B. Now what Article 39B says? It says there should be equitable distribution of means of production. Just few minutes back we have seen what are means of production. We have seen land, then water, then forest, then minerals, then everything that is a means of production. So here we have seen what Article 39B says. It says that there should be equitable distribution of means of production. Right. In case of India, land is the most important means of production, and for which Nehruji started land reforms way back when we got independence. So land reforms was one of the attempt to give socialistic face to Indian society. It was one of the attempt to provide equitable distribution of means of production, or in simple term, it was one of the attempt to have distributive justice. So Article 39B, it talks about distributive justice. Then Article 39C, it says the prevention of concentration of wealth in the hands of few people. It means whatever wealth which is generated through the distribution of means of production like land, this wealth should not be concentrated in the hands of few people, for which in case of India we have a provision for progressive taxation. We have provision for progressive taxation, right? What is meaning of progressive taxation? Those people who earn more should be taxed more. Like if a person is earning 100 rupees, there is no tax on him. But if a person is earning 1 crore rupees for a year, in that case there shall be a tax of 30%. That is, he shall have to pay thematically 30 lakh rupees to the government. Now whatever 30 lakh that is collected by government shall be spent by the government again for the welfare of the people. That is, we are collecting funds from people who earn more, and these funds are again used for distribution for welfare of the people. That is, we are trying to establish a redistributive justice. Our purpose is to have redistributive justice. From prelims point of view, remember Article 39B, it talks about distributive justice. Article 39C, it talks about redistributive justice. These two things must be remembered. Article 39B, it talks about distributive justice. Article 39C, it talks about redistributive justice. Here one thing which must be remembered, the new economic policy, here some typing mistake is there. The new economic policy of 1991, it has diluted our socialistic credentials. It is spelling mistake is there. It has diluted our socialistic credentials. Why? Because this new economic policy has gave way to the liberalization, privatization and globalization. So here remember, new economic policy of 1991, it has diluted our socialistic credentials.